Then now we proceed to the literature review and theoretical framework in phenomenological research. This is very important, no? Because theoretical framework and literature review is the foundation, no? Is the foundation in your phenomenological study. And of course, most who use phenomenological research are from the social science field. So we will be exploring now how to do literature review and the theoretical framework. So, in social sciences, the literature review and theoretical framework are crucial components of a research study, no? Particularly in phenomenological research. No? So, very crucial is the theoretical framework and the component and the literature review. No? So, in phenomenological research, these elements provide the foundation for your study, no? Situating it within the existing knowledge and highlighting the need for new insights. No? So, situating it with the existing knowledge and highlighting it, no, for the need of new insights. No? Because we can't really predict what will come out of the data, no? Because this is phenomenological research. So, in this presentation, we'll be dealing with conducting a thorough literature review, how to identify gaps in existing research, and how to develop a theoretical framework for your study. So that's the agenda. So how do you conduct a thorough literature review? A literature review in social sciences involves a comprehensive analysis of existing research, related to your phenomenon of interest. If you remember, at this stage, you already have a research question. At this stage, you already have a phenomenon, that will be the foundation of your phenomenological research. Now, a literature review helps to establish what is already known, what has been explored, in the literature, and where there are gaps in understanding. So the literature review will help you, not to duplicate, or but instead to add. To conduct a thorough literature review, follow these steps. First, you have to search for relevant literature. Use databases like GSTOR, Sage Journals, and Google Scholar, to locate peer-reviewed articles, books, and reports related to your research questions. Use specific words such as phenomenology of urban poverty, experiences of immigrant women, or social isolation in elderly communities. No? So when you search, since we are doing a phenomenological research, might as well add, phenomenology. And since phenomenology is deals with experiences, you can also put that in the keywords. No? So that is how you do. No? First is to search for relevant literature. And of course, you have to read those relevant literature. You have to read those relevant literature. Okay. Now, these days we already have artificial intelligence, no? And we cannot do away with the fact that ChatGPT is there and other AI. No? Um, Usually, I use ChatGPT in for brainstorming. Like if you want to ask questions, what is there in the literature already about this topic? No? Then ChatGPT will give you studies, and you can even ask, can you give me the DOI of these papers? Can you give me the DOI? And then the AI will also give you the source. No, so in that way, it makes my literature review easier. No, because the DOI is already there. You just click the DOI, and then the PDF will be there, and then you read a bit. No, you read the parts, no, that is unrelated to your study. Yeah. Then after you organize the literature, how do you organize the literature? No? So you categorize the literature, the different literature that you have. You categorize those literature by themes, or you can have several themes, the different themes, such as you can have methodological approaches. You can thematize them according to findings. You can thematize them according to theoretical perspectives. For example, if you're researching urban poverty, you can categorize the studies that you were able to retrieve from the literature in a uh, economic theme, social theme, or psychological aspects. Uh, you just have to organize what you have, because it is very important that you know what are the themes of the existing literature about the phenomenon that you are studying. Now, after organizing the literature, you critically analyze the literature. No? So you evaluate the strengths and limitation of each study. Consider the methodology used, the population studied, and the findings relevance. This critical analysis will help you identify how your research can contribute to the field. So first you search for several literature, then you read it, and then you categorize it into several themes. Now, having categorized it, now you analyze those themes. You analyze those themes, because in analyzing those themes, you will be able to conceptualize how your research question could add up to the existing literature. How could it be? How does how will it address the existing literature? And you will know where your research question can contribute. No? Now, after that, you have to synthesize the findings. Integrate the insights from various sources to provide a comprehensive overview of the current state of knowledge. The synthesis will highlight the significance of your research question and guide the development of your theoretical framework. So, with that, you already have the um, synthesis of what is at the current state of knowledge. And what comes next to that is using the thorough literature review that you have. You will be able to identify a gap in the literature. You will be able to identify a gap in the literature where your study can fill in. Where your study can fill in. That is the importance of it. So, example is in their literature review on the experiences of immigrant women in urban areas, Hernandez et al. 2019 found that most studies focused on economic challenges. Yeah, so found that most studies focus on economic challenges, and then you can add the authors in text citation. It could be you could cite several studies there, not only one study. While fewer explored the intersection of cultural identity and social integration, and then you cite again. Then this gap highlighted the need for research that examines how immigrant women navigate their dual identities in urban settings, now which informed their decision to explore this phenomenon using a phenomenological approach. Okay, so the literature review here in this example paved the way to the gap and to the research question. And what's good with it is that it also paved the way that the best approach that could be used is phenomenology, the phenomenological approach. Okay. Now, yeah, so here, so you have there the literature review, and then you have there also the gap. You have there the gap. So literature review is being done so that you will know what is already has been written, what's the status of it in literature, and what is the gap. That is the importance of doing literature review. Then you identify the gaps in the existing research. So identifying research gaps is a critical step in justifying your study. What makes your study important? Why will I read your study? These gaps may involve unexplored aspects of the phenomenon. Because if your phenomenon has been experienced by all, and then it's almost saturated in the literature, Many have been writing about it already. Several researches have been published. Using the thorough literature review, you might be able to find an unexplored aspect of the phenomenon. Now, when you find this, it's the time. That's the part of the research wherein your study will fill in. And then, aside from unexplored aspects of the phenomenon, it could also be methodological limitations in the previous research. You can also look at their methods. You might have an issue with their methods. You might want to add something to make it more uh, scholar, no? Or you can find new social contexts, no, that necessitate fresh inquiry. Now, how do we identify research gaps? First, you have to explore unexamined dimensions. Look for areas in the literature that has been overlooked. For example, while there is extensive research on homelessness, in a homelessness phenomenon, there may be fewer studies on how homeless individuals perceive their interactions with social services. No? So, focus was more on the homelessness experience, no? The homelessness. But as you look at the literature which is focused on that, you realize that how about the interactions of these homeless people to social services? This part is not being studied. No? So that's the gap. That can be a gap. Another step two, is you examine methodological limitations. Identify limitations in existing studies, such as small sample sizes. You say, oh, the size is very small. No, you don't believe that there is a data saturation because the size is very small. And then a homogeneous participant group, no, not heterogeneous. Since it's homogeneous, the experience is limited, or a reliance on quantitative data. No, so addressing these limitations in your research can provide a deeper understanding of the phenomenon. This can provide a deeper understanding of the phenomenon. Then third is you consider changing contexts. No, such social changes such as policy shifts or demographic changes, no, can create new research opportunities. No? For instance, the rise of digital technology might lead to new forms of social interactions, no, that have not been thoroughly explored in the context of older adults. No, so social media, for example, these are new. In the rise of digital technology, these are new forms of social interactions, no, that has not been explored, no, by previous studies. Now, with these three steps, simple steps, you will be able to identify the gaps, no, of an existing the gaps in the existing research. And with those gaps, in those gaps, you situate your research question. No? That's why in research you always ask about gaps. No, because the gap is very important, because if there's no gap, what's the use of your study? What's the use of your research question? The gap is there. Your research question is there to address the gap in the literature. And of course, you cannot get the gap in the literature if you do not have a thorough literature review. Now, here are examples of identifying research gaps. Now, in their study on social isolation among the elderly, Park and Lee 2020 identified a gap in understanding how digital technology could alleviate loneliness in this population. Previous studies focused mainly on traditional forms of social interaction, prompting Park and Lee to explore the role of technology in fostering connections among older adults living alone. So, in this example, Park and Lee, uh, was actually pushed, or were prompted to do their current study, because of the gap that they have found in the literature. Okay? Now, developing a theoretical framework. How do we develop a theoretical framework? First, you have to identify relevant theories. Based on your literature review, of course, your literature review is somehow is related to your phenomenon. No? You have to examine literature based on your phenomenon. You select theories that align with your research question. For example, if you're studying the experiences of single mothers in low-income communities, single mothers, when you say single mothers, they do not have a partner, you might use feminist theory, and the theories of social capital. So you identify theories relevant to your research question, and then you align your theory with you align the theory with the research question. Ensure alignment between the theory and the research question. Ensure that the chosen theory that you have provide a lens through which to explore your research question. But of course, your research question comes first before the theory. The theoretical framework should help you explain the patterns you identify in your data. So the theoretical framework will help you explain the patterns later on in your data. And then, if possible, you can also integrate multiple theories. Sometimes integrating theories can offer a more nuanced understanding of the phenomenon. So, because sometimes it's possible that uh, multiple theories can relate to your research question, and having these multiple theories can give you a broader perspective on how you treat your data later on. So, however, you have to ensure also that these theories, these multiple theories that you will be using, complement each other. Make sure that these theories are not contradicting. Make sure that the theories are there to create a strong foundation for your research study. So, since you are speaking here of foundation, your theories should be complementary and not conflicting theories. Yeah. And then lastly is you use the framework to guide your analysis. So the theoretical framework will influence how you analyze and interpret your data. Remember that it will help you analyze and interpret your data. So based on our discussion a while ago, you have here the question, and this question should not be uh, framed because of a certain theory. But here am I now talking to you about theories. But these theories came out after the question, not the other way around. Because the possibility of the theory being ahead of the research question is it could prompt bias also. It could prompt bias. So the theoretical framework will influence how you analyze and interpret your data later on, helping you to identify key themes and draw meaningful conclusions. So you use this framework to guide your analysis. Remember that you could use several theories. By using several theories, your exploration of the data is also becoming broader, and much discussion and analysis will come out of it. Not much analysis will come out of it. Here's an example of a theoretical framework. I actually found this in the internet. A theoretical framework on sustainable urban tourism. Now, he identified three, economic dimension, sociocultural dimension, and environmental dimension. And then in each dimension, there are some questions. So in economic, you have their sources of income, economic activity, and in sociocultural also you have participation in decision making, and understanding among tourists and locals. No? These are theoretical framework. No? But most papers nowadays, especially if it's for publication, seldom could you find a really a framework like this. But your theoretical framework is already being incorporated in the introduction part. Same with the literature review, no? Is being incorporated in the introduction part. Now, to conclude, the literature review and theoretical framework are crucial for grounding your research in existing knowledge. No? So, very important, no? Because the literature review and the theoretical framework serves as your foundation for your research. Then, based from that, you're also able to identify research gaps, ensuring that your study contributes new insights. No? So it ensures you of that your study is not a duplication of someone else's study, but it ensures you that it's a new insight, it's a new knowledge in the literature because you have found a gap while you were doing your literature review and the theoretical framework. Now, the theoretical framework guides your analysis and helps interpret your findings. So, this is all about the literature review and the theoretical framework of phenomenological research. Again, if you have questions, just put it down in the comment section.